Alright folks, how you doing? So, going back to Edinburgh, the original Jerusalem, part 3 that I did with Jed about a week ago now, or probably a bit over a week. Go back to one of the slides. That was on King Arthur's seat. So, this remarkable so-called geological fault by the presence of balsamic columns must relate the event to that dramatic period of the Great Catastrophe, as described by the prophet Zechariah, who was in Jerusalem at the time and describes the miraculous escape the city had on that momentous occasion. This is all stuff I'm going to get into in the future with Odin's thunder and the war on the West. It goes into all this, so just bear it in mind when we get to that presentation. Might want to even go back and watch this video when we get to that, but anyway. So, okay, the Mount of Olives was thus afflicted in these words, quote, "Then shall the Lord go forth, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, towards the east and towards the west, and there shall be a great valley, and half of the mountain shall move towards the north, and half of it towards the south." And this is in Zechariah 14:3-4. Arthur's seat in every way compares with the Mount of Olives. And then it talks about, whose height from once a year after the destruction, after Hadrian destroyed Jerusalem, the Jews were permitted to gaze on the ruins of their city, their holy city, once a year. Very interesting. Now, Jed was saying at the time that the picture off to the right-hand side isn't really very good. Doesn't really like match it. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I think it looks exactly like what's being described. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, I've created this video and I'm gonna go into a little screen share here. So I've pulled it up here on Google Maps, Arthur's Seat, Holyrood Park. And, Google Maps, Google Earth is a very, very good tool, very good asset. So you got the Hunter's Bog in the middle. We're just gonna go right the way around. So we use the wee man here, the street view. Got the Hunter's Bog. Sorry, my mouse isn't that great. I probably need to get another one. So yeah, you'll see here, this is the midst of the valley and, cleft in two, and you can use the wee guy, and it's not letting me for some reason. But yeah, you can see half of it is gone towards the north, half of it's gone towards the south. We flip on the 3D option. You can see, you can drag the wee man and you can zoom in, and, this is all stuff you can get for free. Just go into Google Maps, and Holyrood Park is about 640 acres in size. Another source says 650. What's 10 acres really? But yeah, so you got the different heights. You've got Arthur's Seat. You've got the Crow Hill. You've got the Salisbury Crags, the Hunter's Bog, which is the valley straight down the middle. And you've also got, I think it's called the Winnie Hill. Sorry, like I say, my mouse is pish, unfortunately. But yeah. Is it called the Winnie? Why is it not coming up? That's what I want to know. Yeah, that's it. The Winnie Hill. It wasn't coming up for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah. So again, go back to the description. I think the picture in the slide is perfectly fine. I think it matches up with the verse. I don't know why he thought it wasn't a very good picture, but I don't know. Like I say, you can get the wee man, you can zoom in. Like I say, we'll get into it more when we go into Odin's thunder, the war on the West. But yeah, we'll go back to the verse here. Do you get really a lot more out of Google Maps than you do from that picture? I think it's about the same, really. Okay, so let's go through it. Then the Lord go forth, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the mount of blah blah blah, which is before Jerusalem in the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east, and the west, so the split between Winnie Hill on the one side and Arthur's Seat and Crow Hill on the one side, and then you got the Salisbury Crags on the other side. And half of the mountain shall move towards the north and half of it towards the south. And when we go back to it, I think that does kind of match. The other thing I would say as well is when you look at it from like Google Earth or Google Maps, I think Google Maps is actually better than Google Earth, to be honest. But you can kind of see where the terraces would have been where they grew the apples or the olives in the past, where they might have been. Maybe this is what Jed was kind of getting at. If you go into it in like Google Maps or Google Earth, because they're pretty similar, but you can kind of see where the terraces would have been, where they grew all this stuff. If that's what he was meaning, then yeah, maybe he's just kind of got a point there. But that would have been well and truly ages ago. And you can see the kind of split, like I say, between Crow Hill, Arthur's Seat on the one side, and then you got Winnie Hill on the other side. Another thing as well is that St Margaret's Loch down here, and this one down Sappy Loch, they're artificial. They were created in Victorian times. It was actually Prince Albert who came up with the idea of draining all the kind of marshes and bogs in the park and creating not Arthur's Seat, creating Holyrood Park. Apparently, he also wanted to level Arthur's Seat and put a restaurant up at the top as well. The only real loch is actually Duddingston Loch. The other two were artificially created.